Well, here we are again, folks. We covered, we're in Proverbs 18 and verse 1 and 2, and 2 and 3 and 4 go together. But 1, we crossed all the bridges in verse 1, and we talked about a man that desired to set himself apart and learn knowledge. Well, knowledge is learning. If you take this book and you get knowledge, you learn, you get knowledge, you read it, and you get the knowledge of the book, and you put it together, and you go backwards to the first time it's mentioned, which is called the law of first mention, and you go back to that law, and you find out what it is you're looking at. You find out the who, the what, the where, the when, the why, and the how, and you find out how to study the Bible. And that's how you study it, by the way. You study it by who, what, where, when, why, and how. And that's how you study it. Write down those things. Take a passage of Scripture. Look them up. Find out which way they're going. Left or right or up or down. And then write them down in front of your eyes so that you can read them back to yourself and you can see yourself. By the way, my recommendation to you is to get a mirror and set it in front of you when you're studying. Set that mirror in front of you so you'll have somebody to console with, somebody to talk to, somebody to look at and say, hey, what do you think of that? And sometimes you can have a good laugh with yourself and say, hey, I see that. I see that. That's knowledge. That's the beginning to have understanding. Now, once you get to the place of understanding, you can take the knowledge and the understanding, these two words right here, and you can turn them into a thing. This is the final thing that you turn them into. It's called wisdom. The wisdom how to use that knowledge and that understanding. You ask God to help you get the knowledge, you got to dig it out. You ask Him to give you the understanding, you got to learn that. And then you ask Him to give you the wisdom to use it. Now, how do you use it? You use it like we're using it right now. Now, I've been studying the Bible since 1972. I've been digging, learning, separating myself under study, separating myself under gathering up. I have hundreds of books, hundreds of tapes, hundreds of things I've gathered up, charts and all kinds of things. I've studied, and I got knowledge. And then I got some of those charts, I didn't understand them, and still don't understand some of them, but I'm trying to. But the day that I get to understand of them, then I'm going to put the wisdom with them. Now, these are three good companions: knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. These are three good companions. If you've got all three of those, you're in good company. Real good company. It's like me, myself, and I. Pretty good company. But it's not good company without God. And that's where the wisdom comes in, to put God in the equation. When you put Him in, then you can use that word wisdom freely. Now, the next second verse talked about a fool. And verse 2 and 3 said he talked about contempt. He was contempt about wisdom. Now, the first guy in the first verse who gets the wisdom, he's happy. He loves it. Oh, when I get a piece and it comes to me and I get the understanding, wow, man, what a happy day. It's like crackers and peanut butter. Man, it's good. And so I just love it. But here's a fool. You can throw wisdom in front of him free, and he'll spit on it. He don't want it. He doesn't want to know about it. All he wants to know is that he wants you to know he's the boss. And what he says, whether it's right or wrong, that's what he says, and you can go by that because that's what he says. Well, the Bible said he's an idiot, and he's in ignominy. The word is ignominy. Read it right here. He said, a fool hath no doubt in his understanding, but his heart may discover itself. The fool doesn't have any doubt in his understanding. He knows he understands himself. He thinks he's right. And he's a fool because he thinks he's right. He has no need for the Bible. because he's already right. Why would he need a God to tell him something he already knows? See, that's what happened to the devil. The devil thought that he already knew as much as God, and he said, I'm going to elevate my throne up level with God. And God said, no, you're not. I'm going to throw you out, big boy, and you're going to go down there in ignorance. And look what he says here in verse 3. It said, when the wicked cometh, then cometh also contempt. Now, there's that word contempt. That's the first word of another set of three triplets, excuse me. This is the bad set. The good set now were knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. The bad set are contempt, dishonor, and reproach. If you're going to have contempt, you're going to have dishonor, and you're going to have reproach. Those three things are going to come to you. See what he says here? He said also contempt and ignominy, which is dishonor, an ignorant man, and reproach. And he said, and those three are triplets. They travel together. Birds of a feather flock together. And here's three bad guys that you don't need in your life. You don't need contempt, you don't need dishonor, and you don't need reproach. Those three guys are of the devil. They're not of the Lord. The Lord's three guys are knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. The devil's three guys are contempt, dishonor, and reproach. And let me tell you a little secret. They're at battle with each other. If you take yourself a piece of paper and put a graft on it, and in that graft you put knowledge up there, and you go down there, and here's the path of knowledge walking down. And knowledge meets contempt. Now one of them's got to move one way or the other. They're going to hit head on. Well, when they hit head on, knowledge gets the victory over contempt. And then you got the next one. You got understanding. Understanding's headed down too. Headed down that road. Well, it comes up that road. Here comes dishonor. Well, understanding says dishonor's not. It's for a fool. And I don't want to be a fool. So dishonor understanding knocks dishonor back out of the way. So there you go. So then you got the third thing. You got wisdom. Wisdom is headed down the road. And here comes wisdom. And as wisdom comes, here comes this guy, reproach. Now he's coming up the road. I'm going to tell you what. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom are more powerful than contempt and dishonor and reproach. Understanding and wisdom and knowledge are more powerful than those other three boys. Now, how do you keep them powerful? You keep using them. That's like the story of two dogs and peace of mind. You got a black dog in you and a white dog in you. And the black dog is full of knowledge, the white dog is full of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. But here's that black dog, contempt, dishonor, and reproach. And if you feed that black dog, he's going to push that white dog out of the way when the time comes you need that white dog, because he's going to be more powerful. But if you feed that white dog, when he comes up against that black dog, he's going to beat the black dog, and the black dog's going to have to move out of the way. The preacher told a story the other night, kind of like the same thing. He said, old Indian used to bring his dogs in town, and they all looked good, but one of them was fed better than the rest. And he'd have people bet on the dogs, and the Indian would always win. And they asked him one day, how come you win all the time? And he said, I use the dog I feed all the time. The dog you feed all the time. Oh yeah, that's how you're going to win. You feed the right dog, and the right dog will win. So here we go. And they ain't a hot dog either. Listen, here we go. We got 6 guys that are at war against each other. And these guys are knowledge against contempt, understanding against dishonor, and wisdom against reproach. I want the 3 good guys. How about you today?